This weekend is the annual Gay Pride March in Belfast in Northern Ireland. Same-sex marriage is still illegal there. Last night, the Scottish Conservative leader Ruth Davidson called on Northern Ireland to follow the example of the rest of the UK and legalise it. So what are the challenges that face lesbian, gay and transgender people living in Northern Ireland, where sexual identity and politics always seem to clash? Our reporter Peter Coulter has been to meet a transgender woman living in Belfast.
You will legislate perversion and immorality.
A murderer can be redeemed by the blood of Christ, so can a homosexual.
Are you afraid?
No, I am.
Well, then what are you worried about?
Homosexuality was decriminalised in Northern Ireland in 1982, 15 years after England and Wales. A ban on gay men donating blood was lifted this year, 5 years after the rest of the UK. Same-sex marriage is still not legal in Northern Ireland. Legislation's been blocked 5 times by the country's biggest political party, the Democratic Unionist Party. Northern Ireland has come a long way over the past few decades in terms of the peace process, but now it's facing up to a new set of challenges. As time moves on, the country begins to adapt to social changes and the more liberal leanings of its young people. But where does the LGBT community fit in to this new peacetime Northern Ireland?
I'm Adrianne Elson and I'm a transgender woman, 45 years of age. Well, I grew up on the Merseyside, Cheshire border, roughly halfway between Chester and Liverpool. Certainly my primary school was very conservative, so I suppose that's where I learnt to suppress my feelings a lot.
At what point did you realise that you were different?
Sort of preschool age, but I had no way to vocalise it.
So what was it like for you growing up in Merseyside?
It's very northern, if you could say such a thing. Men were expected to be men and women were expected to be women, and the gender roles were much more enforced than they are now.
After years of struggling with her gender identity, Adrianne decided to move to Northern Ireland.
It was a make or break situation. I got myself involved in evangelical Christianity, and I thought that would be a way of purging my feelings from me.
What were you hoping to find here?
A cure for my gender dysphoria. The way I was thinking about it, the theory was the plant analogy, that if you don't water a plant, it'll die. So if you don't give the transgenderism any thought, nature abhors a vacuum. So if you are out doing lots of things from dawn till dusk, you never get a chance to dwell on it and it'll go away.
Adrianne joined the prominent Protestant leader, the Reverend Ian Paisley's church, and his Save Ulster from Sodomy movement, and she joined the Unionist Orange Order. She also picked up manual work as a depot operative on the railways. She hoped that by filling her time with religion, the feelings would go away. She even joined this religious group protesting against Belfast's Gay Pride Parade in 2005.
I was actually on a protest about gay pride at City Hall, and that was where my road to Damascus conversion came, because there was an LGBT protest against our protest, and I made sort of momentarily, fleetingly made eye contact with a young man who was on the counter protest.
Northern Belfast Pride 2005, I'd like to thank the Free Presbyterians for all the free press they give us this week.
And I just sort of thought, what am I doing here? You know, that's not the devil incarnate, you know, that's not a demon, that's a fellow human being like me. You know, why am I protesting against them? What am I doing?
It was after this incident that Adrianne decided she would start living as a woman.
I was so unhappy pretending to be someone I wasn't. I felt like I was an actress playing a male role, a part. Although I was actually come to like the person I was playing, it was still, you know, acting. It was still a falsehood.
Adrianne began to transition about 4 years ago. Religion is still extremely important to her, and she remains conservative on a lot of issues. She classes herself as unionist.
Sometimes I feel marginalised in the sense that I don't feel as I entirely belong in the LGBT community because of my history and some of my political beliefs or whatever may not really be in concert, in tune with that is widely held within the LGBT community. And conversely, I no longer feel part of the evangelical sort of, you know, conservative Protestant community, because by very nature of what I'm doing, that excludes me from that social sphere.
Adrianne has since found love and has married her partner, who is also trans. He has been the victim of a number of transphobic attacks and has asked not to be identified in this film for fears of increased abuse.
I brought you outside here to show you this church, which is a special place for me, because this is where I got married in a non-subscribing Presbyterian church.
You've obviously joined this church, so you've become a member of the community there.
Yeah.
How important has that been for you?
Oh, it's really massively important, because I didn't really think that I'd ever find an acceptance in a Christian church. That was like two worlds that coexisted but couldn't exist together. And then being here and being who I am, you know, it's made it so much more real, so that I can worship as the person I've always meant to be.
What's it like for you walking down the street in Belfast?
It has got somewhat easier, but it's a little bit like having your fight or flight response switched on. You always wonder if people are checking you out, sizing you up. You're walking around and things you may have just taken for granted in the past, like some teenagers loitering on a street corner, you'll cross the road to avoid them, whereas in the past maybe I wouldn't have done.
Have you or your partner ever encountered any transphobic
abuse? Oh yeah,
abuse?
definitely. It seems to be less, but certainly, you know, the awareness has become a lot more over the last few years. Anything that stands out, anything that makes you different from the crowd will draw attention to you, and people will look and do a double take, and then the adverse comments and the catcalls and the mockery will come, and at times it can be extremely hurtful. Some very, very vulgar, nasty and threatening things can be said.
And what sort of things have they been saying?
Sexual things and threatening things, very, very hurtful things. You know, well, you know, like you're a pervert, or you know, that you want raping and things like that, you know.
There has been a lot more trans awareness over the last few years. Do you see the likes of Caitlyn Jenner having raised the profile of trans people? Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know if Caitlyn Jenner is necessarily a good example of a transgender advocate. The celebrity transgender people who can afford to queue jump, who can afford to get surgery and transition when they want, is very different to the experiences of maybe someone living in a bedsit in Belfast. Very vastly different experiences.
Adrianne wanted to take me back to show me another part of the life she used to live. The Orange Order is a Protestant society founded in 1795 to uphold Protestant power in Northern Ireland. It takes its name from the Dutch-born Protestant king William of Orange. Its members wear orange sashes and are referred to as Orangemen. They parade each year on the 12th of July, marking the date King William defeated the army of Catholic King James II at the Battle of the Boyne.
The 12th of July is one of the biggest
cultural events in Northern Ireland, and thousands of orange men like this take to the streets right across the province. Adrianne used to be an orange man. For many of Northern Ireland's Catholics, these marches are divisive, with some traditional parade routes passing through staunchly Catholic areas. Most Orange Order parades pass off peacefully, but the rest of the world has often only seen the images of those that don't. Adrianne took me to see the Belfast parade.
The emphasis was very much on the Christian side of it rather than the parading, I felt, but it was a strange thing, I suppose, for someone in my background to do who was brought up nominally Roman Catholic. It felt quite a privilege to be accepted, to be honest with you, you know.
How did the Orange Order react when you first told them that you wanted to transition?
They weren't sort of cross with me, if you see what I mean. They tried to maybe dissuade me in a very gentle and Christian way, rather than an aggressive way.
Would you have liked to have been asked to join the Women's Lodge?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd like to be given the opportunity. It would be nice, but again, I don't know if it would really ever be possible. Maybe in the future it'd be nice to think it would be possible. Maybe that's something for another generation.
Do you think the Orange Order could accept a transgender member?
It would be wonderful if it did. You have to challenge the status quo or preconceptions or prejudices to move on. So I'd like to think so. There'd be some people would say yes, some people would say no. But I'd like to think that it's something for the future, yes.
So you've actually brought your order collarette with you.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at it.
Okay. That's it, that's the collarette. Most people refer to them as sashes, but sashes for the Royal Military Lodges.
And this is the one that you used to have when you used to be an orange man?
Yeah.
Why do you think you kept it?
I don't honestly know.
It may be too big a step for the Orange Order to accept the transgender member, but Northern Ireland is adapting. There are currently no openly gay politicians in the Northern Ireland Assembly. However, the Deputy Mayor of Belfast, Mary Ellen Campbell, is the first openly gay person to hold a senior role in the city. Mary Ellen is on completely the opposite side of the political fence from Adrianne. She's a member of Sinn Féin, which is an Irish Republican party. Mary Ellen invited Adrianne to meet her, in a scene many from Northern Ireland would be surprised to see. An openly gay Irish Republican deputy mayor hosting a transgender unionist in Belfast City Hall.
Years ago, you know, it would have been inconceivable to have a gay deputy Lord Mayor, and obviously things have changed, so, you know, what are your own thoughts about that?
This council was running from 1906 in this building.
Yeah.
And I'm the first out LGBT person that's held a civic office.
Yeah.
You know, that's...
It would have been unthinkable probably even 10 years ago.
I'm thankful for the people that elected me, and I'm thankful for my party for selecting me for this role. It's a big role. It's a big role for me personally, but I see it as a big role for the community, for the LGBT community in the city. What do you think we need to do next?
I think we need to be bringing in legislation on equality that's more in line with what is in GB and the Republic, because within these islands, we're now sticking out like a sore thumb.
How we change how some of the politicians legislate is actual people coming to them and saying, this is how I would like you to vote on this issue. This is an important issue to us. And I have to say, Adrianne, it is people like yourself who go through the hard battles and those personal hard battles that makes the journey easier for others. So I really want to give you that,
Thank you.
you know, basically commendation. Belfast is a very welcoming city for all our visitors and for the people who live here. You know, I think if you're LGBT, Belfast is a fantastic place to come and visit. We're a progressive city and we're open for business.
Well, we asked the Orange Order if transgender members would be allowed to join. In a statement, they said that any application for membership of the Orange institution is treated on its own individual merits.